So after talking with TB Parts at their tent, the Barber Small Bore, and waiting for their new shock to come out, in the meantime I had ordered one of their shocks for my CRF 110. And we put that shock on and it was absolutely amazing. What a change it made for that bike, and I was really impressed by it. So the shock that they were coming out with for the Honda Monkey was essentially one of the same types of shocks as it was for the CRF 110. And it was, I believe, by the same company, shock manufacturer. So that got me a little bit more excited about the Honda Monkey shocks. I said if the CRF shock is that good, then the Honda Monkey shocks could be very good too. So all said and done, we ended up with the TB Parts Honda Monkey shocks here in the shop, and we're gonna go ahead and get them installed on the bike. This is a really easy process. We're talking about 4 bolts. You don't need to jack the bike up or anything, so it's very simple to swap shocks in and out. So while I wanted to do a shootout with all the shocks available for the Monkey to determine which one was the best and tell everybody which one I thought was the best, save a lot of people some time and thinking about which is the best, that's just not possible right now because of the money investment involved, obviously, in getting a half dozen sets of shocks in here and setting up a whole shootout. So while that was my initial goal, I think at this point all I can really do is compare the shocks that I have, which are the OEM, the Man in the Box, and now the TB Part shocks. So if there's anybody out there, company-wise, shock manufacturer-wise, or even retail shop-wise, that is interested in participating in a shock shootout for the Honda Monkey, I'd be more than open to take your shocks and give them a test against all the other shocks. So as I go along, if I collect more shocks along the way, we'll shoot them out against the other shocks and just keep incrementally updating the channel with Honda Monkey shock videos. Why not, right? So let's go ahead and get these installed. Super easy. And in the meantime, I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the shock here on the table, and we'll just do a quick montage style video of the shocks going on. And then after that, we'll get to the good stuff where we'll do a ride and review of the shocks. Okay, so here we are, TB Parts Honda Monkey rear shocks. And of course there's 2 rear shocks to the Honda Monkey, so that's why we have 2 right here. And as you can see, just right off of the start here, this is a pretty fancy looking shock. It has aluminum ends on it, so aluminum rod end mounts for the shocks. And it's got, looks like a steel threaded shock body. I'm not familiar, or I'm not aware of what the valving is on these shocks, nor the spring rate. However, the spring rate should all be pretty similar for the Honda Monkey, so maybe I can find that info and put it in the description for you. But one of the things you'll notice too up here, there's a nice little dial that says slow and fast. So what that means is that we have some adjustment capabilities on these shocks, and they also do not have the external piggyback reservoir, which, while performance-wise is probably a better thing, style and you know, just space saving is, it's always nice to not have that big reservoir sticking out, although it looks cool and racy, but not a big deal. So we have some adjustments here, slow and fast, and we'll play with that as we ride off-road and we ride street. So I imagine the fast acting setting is going to be more compression and more rebound. So I can't imagine these are double adjustable compression and rebound, but they're probably single adjustable. So if you adjust it to more compression, that's going to be more, or faster, it's going to be more compression and more rebound. Slower is the opposite, less compression and less rebound. Instead of a double adjustable, which would be like the Olin's, that would have a adjustable rebound and a separate adjustable compression. That's pretty high-tech stuff, and it can get into really needing to know what you're doing. So this makes it a little bit simpler, and I'm okay with that. So basically we have a nice looking shock, and I believe they're also available in red and yellow, maybe? I'm not sure about the yellow, but I know they're available in black because that's what I went with, and they're also available in red. So I stuck with the black to stick with the style of my bike. Actually, I just came across something here on the spring where it says 150 pounds per inch. So that saves me some time and research because I now know what the spring rate is on these, and it's 150 pounds per inch. So that means it takes 150 pounds to compress this spring 1 inch. So that's good because I could tell you by me being 200 pounds, I'm going to compress this spring 1.5 inches. If I were applying my direct body weight on this spring, I would compress it 1.5 inches. So at 200 pounds it is. So that's cool, and that basically means you have 2 shocks here. So I imagine by me sitting on this shock, I'll most likely compress it by, let's see, 1.5 inches for 200 pounds on 1 spring. So divide that by 2 springs, and then you're probably going to have 3/4 of an inch. So by me sitting on this spring, because cumulatively or additively, both of these springs should be about 300 pounds working together. So that's probably going to make them a little bit stiff too. So we'll see how they are as compared to the Man in the Box. It could be the Man in the Box has 150 inch-pound springs as well. So that's an interesting little thing I found there. Okay, so now you see on the table we have 3 shocks here. We have the OEM shock, which we all know, and all of us that are too heavy know are too weak. We have the Man in the Box shock, which I had installed previously, and this has been a good shock, but I was just curious to try something else as I found it to be more based for the street, which is appropriate because it is a street motorcycle, not a dirt bike, so I'm using it a little bit differently than it's probably designed. However, it's a good shock, and I was satisfied with this. And then, of course, we have the TB Parts shock. And I could tell you just side by side looking at them. So the Man in the Box shocks have a thicker shock body than the TB Parts shock. And it goes down a little bit deeper. Let's see, so they look about the same length, which is 330 millimeters, I believe. And the adjustment range looks a little better on the, nope, that's negligible. So the adjustment range is just the Man in the Box shock, or the spring, sits a little higher up here, closer to the mount, closer to the chassis, and it's a longer spring. And you also see that it's a progressive spring, a progressive rate. So it has tighter coils on the bottom and wider coils on the top. That provides for a softer ride normally, and then as it compresses, the ride will get a little bit tighter. The TB Part shock does not have that progressive spring. And as far as bump stops goes, the TB Part shock looks to have a urethane-based bump stop, and the Man in the Box shock has a rubber-based bump stop. Based on my race car experiences, a urethane bump stop, microcellular urethane, is going to be a better shock-absorbing material than rubber. It's going to provide for a more consistent bump stop. So now we move on to the shock travel, and this is a tough one to measure because the shock bodies are not the same length. The shock body on the TB Part shock goes to here. However, the top of the spring seat is up here, whereas the Man in the Box is up here, and then the top of the spring seat is up here. So basically that's negligible, and it looks like the Man in the Box shock might even have a little bit more travel on it. We'll see how they work in various different conditions. We'll give them a little bit of a torture test, and we'll just feel them out. Okay, so our TB Parts Honda Monkey rear shock installation is complete. However, there are a couple of notes I wanted to make that you might have observed watching the install montage. And first and foremost is that the shocks seem to have a little bit of a misalignment from top to bottom. So I installed a thicker washer that I had and doubled up the washers on the inside of that upper mount. There's no washers included in the kit, and you could use your OEM washers because you have two OEM washers, one on the inside, one on the outside. You could take that outside washer, put it on the inboard side of the shock, and put your nut on, and that'll be fine too. Now, this wasn't the case with the OEM shocks or the MNNTHBX shocks, so it's just a little adaptability issue, in my opinion. And other than that, the installation was pretty easy, and you also might have observed me adjusting the spring. So how I work that is I basically put the bike at ride height and balance it off the kickstand, and then I'll loosen up the spring adjuster till the spring is loose. That means the shock is kind of holding it at that point. So I bring it down till it's loose, and then I tighten it up to where it's just touching, it's just tight in there. It's not preloaded, it's not unloaded. So I bring it to that neutral point, and that's my starting point, and then from there I'll see how it reacts. I'll see if I need more spring, and there's no point in going less spring because that'll probably just lower the ride height at that point, so I don't want that either. So the last thing to do is to go out and test them and let you know what I think about them. And I'll probably do a different video versus the MNNTHBX shocks. I had some initial opinions about them as I was comparing them side to side, and I might expand on that in another video. So to keep this brief and keep you all interested, I'll probably just keep this the install and the ride and review. So thanks for watching. Once again, I appreciate all the support, hitting that like button, sending that feedback in through comments, and even reaching out to me on Instagram. I've had a lot of people say, hey John, I got a problem. Do you have any ideas what it might be? I really think that's awesome. I'm glad you guys turned to me as a source for Honda Monkey info and help when needed. And once again, hope you all are enjoying the channel. Hope you're enjoying the build. Hope you're enjoying the different things I'm doing, and I'm hoping that it's helping you determine where you want to go with your Honda Monkey build. So closing it down, I'm going to say thanks again, and we'll see you next time.